pretended to sleep, but he was just sitting there not saying anything. And so she opened her eyes to look, and it was someone else entirely. It wasn't her guy. It was a tall, black, jet black figure that looked like a shadow sitting at the edge of her bed. And she froze in absolute terror, uh, admittedly kind of half asleep. And whenever it felt her notice it, it kind of felt a disturbance and then turned around and looked at her. And when she was telling me the story, I could see that she was like, has shivers from it, dude. But when they made eye contact, it got frightened, jumped up off the bed, and ran out of the room to where she was like frozen in fear. About 10 minutes later, her guy walked in and they searched the house. They refrained from calling the police because of the circumstances. You know, they didn't want to invite police into their place for premature reasons. But she told me the story, and I looked into it, and this is actually so common that it's called hypnagogic hallucinations. Doctors have a word for it because women don't like to talk about it with their friends, but they'll tell their doctors about it. And a hypnagogic hallucination during pregnancy happens at about 7 weeks in. And what's weird about it is with a hallucination, especially with sleep deprivation, you see a wide variety of different visions. But with these, it's very specific. It's usually something that revolves around a tall black figure that often is seen like the Hat Man, Slender Man, these kind of things. But she was telling me, she was like, I'll admit it was a hallucination now, but I'm telling you, there was something about it that was visceral. It was for real. And when it ran out the door, there was something symbolic about it. So I looked into this. I was curious about it. And so turns out a couple of facts here. The pineal gland of the human being develops at 7 weeks in. This is when hypnagogic hallucinations start for women. So I was like, kind of out on a limb. I was like, what is the mythology of the stork? We see the stork nowadays in cartoons. It carries the baby to the mother. What did that, because everything is a simulacrum, a copy of a copy now. Everything has an origin. So did you know that the original stork mythology originates in Egypt? Dude, check this out. This is the ba and the ka. The bird is the ba, and the black figure in the doorway is the ka. That was fast, Nick, dude. You're fucking good, dog. So I stumbled across this and I looked into it, and immediately, just off of sheer face value, that's that dude in the doorway. That's the ka, and he is the earthly version of the ba. It's what brings the soul to the fetus in the mother's womb at 7 weeks in, when the eye of Horus develops in the baby. I was blown away, dude. So maybe it was a hypnagogic hallucination, sure, but this is the story of the Ba and Ka. So when a child is conceived, Khnum gets to work shaping their earthly life force on his potter's wheel. He needs to have this Ka ready because the Ba is on its way to imbue it with soul, flown in long distance. The bird is what does this best at, the changing of the seasons, out with the old, into the new. Unlike the Ka that is applicable to all human people, the Ba is that person's individual personality and psyche, that is their wandering soul. The Ba arrives from the land of spirits, lands gently on the bed, and breathes its essence into the new child to be. What are the chances that this thing comes to the mother while she's sleeping or seemingly sleeping? And then sometimes these women catch it in the act, right? So this sent me down a huge rabbit hole. And I got to ask Julia, considering that she's got a new baby, I mean, did you have anything like this, or?
I had so many weird things like that happen to me when I was pregnant, and I would tell my husband about them. And I really told him several times that being pregnant was such a spiritual experience.
Right.
It was the craziest thing I've ever been through in my life. And I had visions. And so before I was pregnant, I actually never dreamed. I never dreamed. I would just go to sleep, black out, wake up. It was the next day.
Right.
I think I was like 4 weeks pregnant, and I started having the most wild dreams ever, and I felt like my baby Hank was actually showing me things and telling me things, and I had dreams about and he would s this is I know it sounds crazy, but
Not anymore. I
hello.
mean, after what I just said, go on.
Right, it's like you're listening to the Occult Rejects, so maybe
Right.
not,
Yeah.
but, would have dreams where, like, Hank was telling me about, "I was always with you," and, I was always with Colby, and he would show me Colby, like, in weird times through his life, and that he was always with him and always with me, and I literally was having, like, paranormal experiences while I was pregnant. And, that's not something you just go and just share with people, because unless you listen to the Occult Rejects, you're gonna be like, "Are you on meds or
Most likely.
something?"
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was a very, very spiritual experience.
There's a public stigma about weird shit that has been imposed upon us, that you can't talk about it at the water cooler at the office, but you tell your doctor about it, and then the doctors have to come up with something. So they say hormonal changes and sleep deprivation causes visions or hallucinations. But like placebo, what is a hallucination? I mean, these women are awake, and this explanation doesn't satisfy the women any more than the scientist men do. So, yeah, pun intended. But
Well, like sleep paralysis, right? Because they see the
thank
Hat Man and the Slender Man and the Shadow Man, but they say it's because your brain is still sleeping, but your physical body is awake. So you
right,
see things because you're actually in a dream state. Bullshit to
right,
all of that. Like
yeah. To
it's not
say
like yeah.
to say that the brain generates these visions is like saying that the brain generates consciousness. It just doesn't hold up under scrutiny. Um, I think the whole thing is electromagnetic, and this even ties into Egypt as well, which is this is where we get kind of weird, because like the story that we're telling here is a story, and it's mythological, and it's an urban legend until you start to consider the body's uh, electromagnetic weight, which is important here. So all right, what is another thing that's weird? Every culture, doesn't matter which culture, Native American and across the ocean, Indian, which is literally the swan, by the way. They talk about a bird bringing the soul, and this is the mythology of the stork. What is interesting about the bird is that it can see electromagnetic forces of the earth, and it can see things that we don't. It's literally guided by an electromagnetic force, the same way our mitochondria is. And so it's easy to say, oh, these ancient people associated with birds because the soul is weightless or whatever. But that's a modern conception. It
Yo,
doesn't hold up if you think about where did that soul come from in the first place? Why did it not just emerge in the brain like science contends today?
Joe, you're going on about like electromagnetic stuff, and like when it comes to birds, that's it's a huge thing with them. That well, for one, a lot of animals that I see used, especially in Egyptian uh art and stuff, a lot of those animals actually have eyes that will pick up more of that field than we do.
Right.
And even with birds, you're talking about like this is gonna kind of like I'm trying not to try to say this without like making a mess out of it. With birds, there's one thing that's interesting with them that
I sent you a diagram, by the way. If I think you have that picture, but
okay. With birds nowadays, they're starting to notice too that when it comes to them making noises in the morning chorus, it is because now they're also thinking that their eyeballs can actually hear
Yeah.
coming off of the sun, and basically what they're doing is chirping back what they think it's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're talking about like all this stuff with these birds, and they're very special with this stuff. And then if you actually kind of look at how birth is even done,
Right.
the the woman's thing is actually sending out a signal.
Right.
And it just seems like very much like, again, like the messenger of birds. It's associated with air, electromagnetic field. You just start wondering if there's actually science actually being depicted in all this stuff, like what you're saying.
So the Egyptians depicted the plasmatic electricity of the soul entering the mother's womb, quite literally, in their coffer texts. And today we see the nickel flash. They call it a zinc flash, actually, whenever there's a conception. And this repeats whenever the 7 weeks of the pineal gland is formed. There's a flash of light. And
Yeah.
that's
You
not
watch that, it looks like an eclipse.
Yeah, dude, it looks like an eclipse, dude. As above, so below. This is what we're dealing with here.
You come out you come in a flash of light, and you go out with one, man.
Right.
And there actually is beyond an eclipse too. There's what's known as the green flash of a sunset over the ocean when it's totally clear out, and you got to be looking at it and on it, and conditions have to be, like I said, clear and just right. But there'll be what's called the green flash
Right.
at sunset, which is similar in the microcosm macrocosm idea anyway.
It's exactly that, because the Egyptians considered Earth to be green, not because the plants were green, but because of the heart chakra, which is green, and that happens to be the center of the above and below worlds, And they say that the soul is carried by the Ba from the above world, but it can descend down into the below. The shit is kind of weird because Cygnus, the constellation of stars that is called Cygnus. Cygnus is a swan to every culture across the board, except for the cultures who didn't have a swan, but they still called it a bird. The swan happens to be the Cygnus happens to be where they say the soul came from in the first place, and that one depiction was actually a really good one there. But
oh, sorry, I was just skipping through.
Well, we'll get to those Hindu temples in a minute now, but every culture depicts this fucking same thing. They call it Cygnus, and Cygnus happens to be a neutron star, which is what ancient people went into caves about in order to commune with. That's where they said the soul comes from. But what is weird about Cygnus is that as a neutron star, it creates gold. Our sun does lead, and it won't create gold until it goes supernova like Cygnus. Lead into gold. This is the story of the Elohim. So if I might jump kind of ahead here, if you know the story of Zarathustra, he's big in the esoteric fucking thing. He was a man. He was a gangster, dude. He was a slippery, dangerous motherfucker. And Zarathustra met with these light beings called Elohim. And Elohim means spirits of the sun, So what they did was they poured lead they poured lead onto his chest, liquid lead, to see if he could suffer in silence. It's the metal of Ahriman, right? And then if he could pass that initiation, they would turn that to gold, which is very interesting. But what's more interesting is that the Elohim are called the spirits of the sun. Their goal was to alchemize the entire earth into an entire body of light. Whenever Zarathustra told that to the king was obviously very afraid of change and had him locked up into jail. And but he was slippery. He got out. This is, by the way, I can't stress this enough. Zarathustra is a person. He's a man. He's a flesh and blood dude that was such an immense character that he became mythology later. But he taught a whole street gang from the grotto how to use their magic from within. making him the archetype for the first wizard. But the whole idea was he got his initiation from the Elohim, plural, which are spirits of the sun. So this is what started me down this whole rabbit hole about our soul maybe originating from the sun, just like this and a million other alchemical diagrams depict. This is where shit gets fucking weird, dude. Because
Joey, real quick, I just wanted to add this
Sure.
in just real quick, and I thought it was weird when it just with gematria.
yeah,
I put Stork in. I just wanted to see if it had anything interesting.
Okay.
It matches in Hebrew sun, and then in English it matches black sun.
black sun.
Yeah,
Shut up.
Yeah,
About that first image is the only way.
that was
I
a black
could think
sun.
about
Yeah, I wanted to say it.
describing-
That
Yeah, like it seemed maybe like a pupil too, but also a black sun in that first image. Joey,
Right.
do you know what that is about?
the black sun in alchemy is the stage of complete disarray with the human soul, the dark night of the soul, where everything is scattered to pieces and we are left with no identity.
yeah,
We have to literally overcome the black sun in order to alchemize it into, lead into gold. That's the whole idea of it. But I mean, the black sun is synonymous with the black cube, because and that's what this all kind of comes down to, is like we live in the cube versus the circle, the squaring the circle. This is the idea of the heavens are a circle, and then the earth is a cube or a square, and between the two is the triangle that pierces its point into the cube, which is weird because Hermes, Thoth, all these communions between man and the heavens happens through mercurial figures. Mercury is not just a metal; it's the planet between us and the sun. It's almost as if what the alchemists were trying to say was our soul is that of heaven, but our body is that of earth. We are both God and man simultaneously. And if that's realized, the alchemy takes place to turn the entire earth into a vast body of light. But we can't do that. We can't do that on our own, though, as animals. We have to, damn, Vincent is in this fucking chat going wild. But so, okay, the Ba is the bird here, and the Ka is this black figure, right? There's another rhyming word within this Egyptian fucking pantheon that is Ra. So the Ba, the Ka, and the Ra. Ra is the sun. And this is where it kind of gets fucking weird, because Elohim, spirits of the sun, all mercurial messengers between us and the sun. I think that the sun is where our soul comes from, and we are fractals of the sun itself, trying to experience itself. And if we can experience it in this fucking grotto, in this hellhole that we call Earth, that is ruled by the archons inside the orbit of Saturn, we can transcend that and join the netter in the ether, in the stars, so to speak, with Cygnus, X2, and all them.
And to that point, the Egyptians had 8 aspects of the soul, which reminds me of what you're saying as far as the spectrum of light, right?
Mhm.
There's the 7, so it's approximation, but it's just this, light force coming through relationship anyway.
Yeah, there's an as above, so below alchemy taking place here that I feel like it can't be ignored. And the fact that these ancient people knew of these things before our modern day science is very telling, because it's a hint that maybe they knew what they were talking about. So so the sun is made out of plasma, as even mainstream will admit. So David Bohm was the first physicist to talk about plasma in a lab is alive. It acts on its own accord, and it creates its own dust, just like suns create their own planets. He didn't say that second part, but he did notice that it creates its own dust and it acts on its own accord. And then another physicist, some Russian physicist, I'd have to find the name, talks about, well, if plasma does this in labs, that means directly the masses of plasma up in space must also do the same thing. Therefore, the plasma in space must also be alive, indicating, like Rupert Sheldrake talks about, the stars and the suns are alive. Rupert Sheldrake's hard to ignore. I mean, he's not like Neil deGrasse Tyson and fucking Bill Nye the Science Guy. He doesn't just talk shit. He actually does the experiments. He does the experiments that Neil deGrasse Tyson talks about.
Yeah, he does some
off
the wall
right.
stuff.
The sun is reactive, and it's a self-regulating system. That's not very nuclear explosion-y. The sun is most likely electrical. If the sun is electrical, that means that it matches the body, and we shouldn't be surprised about that. If the body is electrical, then the sun should be electrical as well. And it holds the earth in place with electromagnetism, just the way that electrons are held into place by atoms. We are literally constellations as human beings that are carbon copies of our solar system, just like Manly P. Hall said with the atom Cadmus.
Fascinating.
But all right, so
it was just there was an earthquake and a solar eruption that happened at exactly the same time 2 or 3 days ago. I forget if it was an earthquake in California or Japan, but a major solar eruption and a pretty substantial earthquake happened at the exact same time to the electrical idea.
Right. That is weird, dude. Human blood clots according to the sun. And there's a lot of weird shit about blood and the sun. The Ark of the Covenant in Jewish mythology reacts to blood. Whenever blood is put on the mercy seat, which sounds a lot like Mercury, you can commune with God at that point, which is very mercurial in the first place. But there's a direct connection there between us and the sun that's kind of hard to avoid. It's almost as if the earth is a daughter to the sun, so to speak. It's almost as if our solar system, the planets are archons, and the entire solar system is a demiurge, and the sun itself is Sophia, who gave birth. Just like plasma gives birth to dust in laboratories, these suns, which are plasma, no mistake about it, give birth to dust themselves, which are planets. Sophia gave birth to the demiurgos, but she imbued its children with her soul, saying even the mineral world needs to be saved. I think that's the soul. I think our bodies are the dust. We are a copy of that archon, of the demiurgos, which we act like the demiurgos all day. Look at politics, right? But our soul is imbued by Sophia, which is the sun. If we consider the fact that the sun used to be female, and the sun is now considered male, used to be female, that got switched around in like the Dark Ages. That's really confusing. So that's conjecture at that point. But we were birthed by this mother figure that might have been the sun, and it imbues us with soul, hoping that we wake up to its knowing, its alchemy, basically the gnosis of knowing that we are part of the greater whole, because we're separated right now.
What do you think about when they say you get to choose who your parents are?
That, if according to the Egyptians, that's exactly what we did, because the Ba comes to Earth, this bird guy, and then it chooses a body based on what it needs to learn. Which, I mean, that's soul alchemy right there.
Yeah, so I was looking into this obviously because I'm interested in it because I just had a baby, but it's not so much you choose your parents based on, oh, well, I'm going to choose them because they're going to give me the best life. It's like, I'm going to choose them because they're going to teach me the things that I need to learn this time around. Like you might choose the shittiest parents anybody's ever had ever because you needed to have that experience this time around. It's an interesting concept to
Yeah.
think about.
And we are described as orphaned souls by Manly P. Hall when he talks about the Adam Cadmus. And just like Sophia, when she went into her amnesic type of forgetting, she wanted to see if she could create while separated from source and forgetful of it. So coming into this body with, say, hypothetically, some of us shit parents were to see if we could create without any sort of help. Because Sophia was alone, no doubt about it. That's why she created the archons in the first place, you know?
Wow. Okay.
So we talked about Rupert Sheldrake, the sun is alive, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so Hindu temples. And this seems like a bit of a stretch, but follow me on this. So this is called a dorji. I'm pronouncing that wrong, but that's okay. And scholars maintain that this is decorative. I don't think this is decorative. It's got faces on it, and outside of the faces, which obviously represent it being alive, it looks like electricity. It looks like lightning. It looks like plasma in a lab that takes on the shape of a torus, which it very well does and can be looked up. So this is the same shape that happens to take place whenever plasma is exposed to electromagnetic forces in a laboratory, especially those that are replicating the radiation from Cygnus X2. This is what gets fucking really weird, because scholars will also maintain that these Hindu temples are decorative just like this. I don't think so, because I'm going to bring up a couple quotes here, and this will make sense in a second. I'm going to directly quote from Hindu ancient texts. As the sun gives light, the temple gives liberation. That's, I'll try to pronounce it. Vishnu Dharmarata Prayarana. I fucked that up. Don't listen to me. Okay. Second quote. He who builds a temple builds a bridge to heaven. Agni Purana 42:3. The temple is a diagram of the universe. Silpa Sastra Mahabharata, chapter 1. Sorry. All right. The temple is a purifier of all beings. This one's important. The temple is a purifier of all beings. Skanda Purana, I don't know, Kung Fu Panda 1:3:37. So I if just to back myself up here, in case someone has doubts, you can screenshot this, and that's the correct pronunciations of each. Hindu temples are weird. They look like electricity, first of all, but they also take on the shape of cymatics, as we're looking at right there. That's sound. And the pillars, the beams, they look like machines. They look like mitochondria. So I'm going to pull this up real quick on my pictures, and you can, if it matches. So this is a mitochondria, as above, so below, right? Like this is one of these. This is happening within us to create us as we speak. Right. So that's happening within us right now. Dude. Right. Look at this. Look at that. And then look at some of these. First of all, they look like turbines that we use today to create energy, electromagnetic energy, right? That's not decorative, what we're looking at right there. That is, if I didn't know any better, that's some DMT shit. These pillars spin and they move. And the shit that doesn't spin and move in these Hindu temples, dude, they hover above the ground.
I was going to ask you
Yeah.
if you heard of that. Yeah. They don't even. You could slide a piece of paper underneath them.
Dude. You could get Jessica Alba to fucking get her ass underneath one of these fucking things because it's hovering so high above the ground. But these fucking pillars are electrodes. Now, by the way, I can't take all credit for this. Base Forge, Static in the Attic, under the name of Base Forge, makes a bunch of reels and shorts. I wish he would make long form, but I got this idea from him. And then there's oh man, if I can remember his damn name. There's an Indian dude who makes videos about these. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna feel like what is it?
Is his name Praveen?
Proveen, yes. I did my whole Coral Castle episode on Proveen's work, just piggybacking off of him. So this whole next segment is kind of piggybacking off of Proveen and Static in the Attic of Base Forge. But these Hindu temples are, first of all, absolutely incredible.
I was just gonna say, like, all right, we're looking at them in the correlation between like what happens inside the body and like electric, and another aspect of this is how the fuck did they make it?
Right.
Because they're going to tell you that they took a little chisel and they fucking chiseled this shit, and it took them 17,000 years to chisel one little column, and they were in there with a little pickaxe. And
that's the thing is they don't say it takes 17,000 years, which is what it would take. They say it took 20 years to do, which is completely. It would take 20 years just to remove the dirt around. These are built into the fucking stone. These temples are one piece of stone, one unit. They're not separate columns brought in like in Egypt. This is what fucks us up. This is what you're looking at right now is in the ground, and it's one. They dug into the fucking granite, the fucking limestone into the earth
with a pickaxe,
the clay areas,
and a donkey and a horse, and they did it all. Like that's just like even like
if you make a mistake, you got to make it 4 times on the other side and on the back.
Right. But even if you can get past how they made it, why did they make it? Why would they put, and why did they make it look like this?
Right. So I have a theory about it, which ties us into the whole thing today. Which, by the way, I would love to do a whole episode on how they did it, but I have no fucking idea. That is outside of everything I've ever
I think you're the first person who I've ever met that can admit that, because I say that all the time. As long as we can agree it wasn't ropes and pulleys.
No.
Okay. But I don't know what the fuck they were doing. You know what I'm saying?
The interesting thing about these Hindu temples is, the Egyptian pyramids, which are made out of pieces, were impossible for us to build today. No one's done it ever since. So it's not likely. These are not like that. You can imagine, if they could find a way to lift a stone into the air, then maybe they could yada yada. These are different. These must have been done with some kind of 3D printing or some kind of laser technology. There's no way around it. You can't have multiple people doing it. That's what's fucking weird. It has to be one person because it's all the same. And
it's like a fingerprint.
It's like there's a fingerprint happening here. And all these pillars make different pitches. Notice they're different sizes. They make perfect chords, a fifth of one another, octaves. So we have a problem about how they did it. I'm going to step over that because that's outside my pay grade. What I'm here to say is why they did it, which, again, I've never seen online. Same as the Stork shit. I think I have an idea of why they did it. So I have a little chart here. One of them. Yeah. This one I actually found on Google. So we can agree that these temples are machines. And we can also agree they look like turbines. We can also agree that they look like mitochondria that's happening within us today. So the question becomes, okay, they created an enormous amount of energy from the sun. Sure. What were they trying to power with these machines? This is where we get tricky. What I think is, why power your fucking air fryer and a big screen TV when you can tune your soul? That very electromagnetic energy called Kundalini by these very same cultures, by the way, that serpent within man that comes up from the dick or vagina and then into the pineal gland to die for 3 days, called the Christos, in just a little bit east of India, west of India. These machines were meant to be devices that tuned the soul into enlightenment before we had the chemical ratio, Amazonian ayahuasca, DMT, all this shit, right? There's a lot of different ways, but these devices match up with the human vessel absolutely perfectly. Not only do they match the human vessel perfectly, but they are maps of the cosmos itself. Fibonacci, all that shit, golden ratio, squaring the circle, all this impossible shit, cymatics, all these things. And these cymatic patterns taken on by these pillars are these frequencies that we see on YouTube now that represent our chakras: 432, 528, 852, 936. It goes up, right? As you enter the temple, it goes up your spine. As you enter the temple, it goes up your spine until you get to this. And Nick, if you'll scroll a little bit, you get to the end where you fall underneath this big fucking UFO looking circular cymatic pattern where there's a seat underneath it to sit beneath it. I'm sure it's Zazen style. Keep going. Here, I'll find one.
Completely different picture, correct?
Yeah, one of these, which also spin, by the way.
Okay.
It's the ceiling. And there's fucking, dude, tons of them all over the place. By the way, hey, Nick, real quick, awesome thumbnail. I could not have envisioned a better thumbnail. Thank you for last minute changing that for me.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not a pain in your ass. But,
No. I normally would eventually make a thumbnail anyway.
Hell yeah. So, all right. So these ceiling pieces, directly above these ceiling pieces is a temple, like a cathedral that goes into the sky. There's no doubt about it. That was meant to pick up electromagnetic energy from the sun to beam it into a funnel down into the human being that was sitting beneath this fucking cymatic dick looking cymatics fucking thing right here, to tune your soul into its optimum, most prime position to realize bliss and to commune with God itself, just like the Mercury of the Ark of the Covenant, just like the Tower of Babel were trying to do, but failed because that's fallen angel tech into the hands of human beings who are confused. These guys got it, though. I believe that these Hindu temples, everyone's asking the question, what did they power? They powered the Kundalini. There's serpents, snakes, and stone everywhere around this, but they're not here. They're on the outside of the temple. These machines tuned our soul to be able to commune with God on a one-to-one, face-to-face basis, and also gave us shamanic powers in the most literal way possible. It's like a forced Kundalini awakening, as if DMT is rumored to be.
No, for real. No.
If you can imagine drinking some Blue Lotus, if you know what I'm saying, and then sitting underneath this fucking bitch, you're going to have some shit to say afterwards. And those who are gifted might give birth to, say, the Upanishads, you know, the Ramayana, the fucking Bhagavad Gita. This is where these things came from. But just alone looking at this image right here, we know that's not decor. Decor is never symmetrical in that way. This was a machine. This was a device. These items spin. We have lost the technology ever since, just like the moon landing. And we are no longer doing this. I think if we were to wake these machines up, we would be in a completely different world today. But we're in the Kali Yuga, just emerging out of it. When these machines were built, we were in the Prana Yuga. I'm saying that wrong. That's my bad. But I'm saying the golden age. And it's been a descent ever since the 1300s when these things, went away.
Do you think these things stop working for a specific reason, or do you think maybe depending on how the Earth is aligned with everything else, this will only work in a certain time cycle?
According to Ashananda,
turn back on, say 2,000 years from now.
I love that question. Ashananda, that old 88-year-old woman in the blue dress, who she's a direct student of Yogananda. She told me that the sun moves on a sine wave. So there's a galactic center, and the sun moves on a sine wave around the galactic center. And when we are lined up with it, we get a direct shotgun from the galactic center. Now that lines up with Cygnus, by the way, which if you look in the sky, that bird of Cygnus is literally crossing the galactic center where that black hole is. They say it's a black hole. I don't think it is. But she says when we're aligned with that is the golden age, and when we're drifting from that is the Kali Yuga. People have said it's not the galactic center, but it's Cygnus itself. But again, that's in the same path. So who's to say which it is? Cygnus happens to be a neutron star, so that could be it. So the last time we were aligned with the galactic center was 40,000 years ago. That's the same age that cave paintings not only started, but exploded. We started painting on cave walls 40,000 years ago. We can carbon date cave paintings. We can't carbon date the stone, but the paint we can. 40,000 years ago, cave painting was invented. That's the last time we were down the barrel of that sine wave in the galactic center. Maybe.
That's bugged out.
Yeah.
I think that they've destroyed a lot of stuff. I think that whenever the flood came through, it fucked a lot of stuff up. I think it was like a global flood.
Dude.
That World War II. Yeah, I think that they've destroyed it a lot on purpose so that we could never know about this stuff. But if you look at even the pyramids in Egypt, they say that they're burial chambers, and it's like, dude, there's not all the bodies are in the Valley of the Kings, right?
Right.
So these pyramids with all these weird chambers and shit, it's not a fucking casket. Like I don't. And if you look at it, it's like it was designed to have like these chambers where they would resonate sound, and like if you were fucked up, you would go into like one chamber and they would like blast you with sound and it would like heal your body. And like they of course hide like all of the real shit to make it seem like, oh, well, they just built them for like the pharaohs. And it's okay, then why are most of them in the Valley of the Kings then?
Right.
Why did they put all the bodies in the Valley of the Kings, and then we have these 3 pyramids with all these weird connecting chambers and like all this intricate? It's like, no, this is not a burial chamber. Like that, it just doesn't make sense.
What's crazy is Egypt has burial chambers. They have tombs, and they're decorative. The Osirian, the pyramids, all of these machine-looking structures were not decorative. They were square, pun intended, so to speak. They were blocks. They were not decorated. I would even argue that this is not decorative. This is a
I agree.
pattern. Have you ever heard an audio clip of the so-called sarcophagus in the king's chamber getting hit with someone's fist? There's an audio of that, and you put it on a PA system with subs, and it really is something else.
That's what I'm saying, though. Is
Yeah.
like that is not. They were not designed to just hold a dead person.
Right.
Like, why would you go through the lengths of doing all that to just put a sarcophagus in there? It
So
doesn't make sense.
I have a theory about that as well. But it's the opposite of these Hindu temples, which is where it gets fucking weird. Because the same mathematics are used in both, in this intricate design that we're looking at right now versus the pyramids. It's the same. They look different, same mathematics. So in the coffer text in Egypt, they talk about the pharaohs rocketed their souls out of the shafts, the king's chamber shaft, and into Draco or what's the other?
Sirius.
Sirius. Yes.
Pleiades.
What is it?
Pleiades.
Pleiades. Yeah, that's another one. And then there's a third one.
The dog star, was the dog star one of them or something like that?
Yeah, that's the dog star, right? Which one is the dog star?
Sirius is the dog
Sirius.
star, and
Okay.
then
They said
Then
to join the Netter, they rocketed their souls out of. By the way, the shaft that comes out of the pyramid is about this big, literally, and it goes through. I mean, how many meters of granite? So there's something of a utility happening there. What they said they were doing was joining the Netter. They would bypass the sun, leave Samsara. Samsara is an Indian word, but I'm using it here. I guess in Egyptian culture, it'd be called the you know what? Fuck it. I'm not writing a script right now. It's hard to
the living world, right? Just the realm.
Yeah,
the realm
they have
we're
a
in.
word for it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know it on the fly, but there is a word parallel to that. And they would leave Samsara. They would leave. They would bypass the sun. They would bypass Saturn, which is what's important. And they would join the Netter, which the Netter were the stars. Draco, Sirius, these guys. And then they would have direct influence on our solar system, which is what drives me fucking bananas. Because every time we die, we go to the sun and then reincarnate through the moon. But when the pharaohs died, they left. And then they fucked with us ever since. Good or bad, I don't know. This is where we get kind of off the rails here. Because we can join the Netter as well. But we have to realize what's been imposed upon us artificially, and we don't know what that is. The Tibetan Book of the Dead talks about it. Jesus talked about it in the Book of Jia, which is a whole nother fucking rabbit hole. But speaking of books of the dead, there's a Book of the Dead almost in damn near every culture, and they talk about the same thing. But they always use their own symbolic nature to understand what they're talking about. We don't have scientific terminology today to represent what they're talking about, so it gets confusing. I don't know what it takes to leave samsara, or if it's even worth it. I know Nick has done this, you know, Earth shit like 1,000 times. You can tell. Look at him smoking that fucking cigarette. Like, damn. Like he's just native here at this point, you know. But me, I'm a brand new baby. I'm a baby doe deer here, you know, trying to change things up a bit. But
I had a thought about how these temples manipulate light and sound.
okay,
And there's the idea of the photon. And then there's also forgive me, I forgot how it's pronounced. What is it? There's the sound equivalent, which is the phonon. And these
okay,
are like the beginning quantum material of light and sound. And I wonder, you know, we're at the point now where we're kind of postulating quantum computers and quantum machines based on actually phonons and photons. And
yeah,
I wonder if they were doing something like this in a totally different way than we might perceive to do it now, and enhancing sound and light to produce electromagnetic effects and so on. I just throwing it out there.
Ethan. No, you didn't just throw it up there. That's fucking great, and I'm glad you said that. So okay, what you just said kind of summarizes the question that's answered in these two books here. So where this whole shit started in the first place was so I got The Body Electric, which I'm not quoting from directly, but it is very important to the subject. But more importantly, this book is called The Secret of Life, straight up called The Secret of Life. It's by George Lakhovsky, who is a disgraced scientist. No one wants anything to do with him anymore. That's how you know it's good. So okay, to lead into what you're saying, he talks about birds in this way. No clear explanation has yet been given. My theory of radiation in living beings is in perfect harmony with the facts. Similarly, the role of orientation in the flight of birds and migration are explicable by the phenomenon of auto-electrification in living beings. These fundamental principles cover the whole field of biology. But why are they important to biology? So just before I move on real quick, that's fucking The Secret of Life by Georges. He's multiple Georges. I don't get that. All right, cool. And then so everyone has heard of Schwaller de Lubix, and Chris Dunn came to my house and was like, if you don't have shit on Schwaller, then why the fuck am I here? And old man Chris Dunn, I respect him, and he turned me on to this shit. So now I've got several books by Schwaller, which I'll go into in a minute, but check this fucking shit out, dude. So first of all, just sink in these diagrams real quick. That's the sun. Admittedly, maybe the sun. Schwaller, I hate his name. Like, I wish he would just fucking be Nick or something, like Kevin. Damn. But he coins in on some of these hieroglyphics as such. He says, our old laws no longer apply to the atom, the constituent of matter. They remain valid for matter, but in the atom, Newtonian gravitation no longer plays a part. It is electromagnetic effects that come into play. This is a fact, but one that needs to be studied, for we are still confronted with the unknown that the affinities represent. Energy ceaselessly creates matter. Through the atmosphere, nitrogen is transmuted into an isotope of carbon, which is then, it nourishes all vegetation on Earth, a fact that throws a curious light onto the vital phenomenon of the Earth's surface, right? So a couple pages later, he shows this diagram right here, which many people have seen in museums, but didn't get the same explanation as Schwaller will.
Forgive me. Is that what is that depicting? Some god with snakes, 3 snakes on each side?
Which one? The second one or the first one?
That one, the second one that you just showed me.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm probably not seeing
Okay,
it
yeah.
at all.
It looks like it is Horus, but with whichever god represents that Jekyll. And then there's 3
Anubis.
Maybe.
Anubis.
Okay, that's Anubis, yeah. And then on each side is 3 Apopis.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
Apopis would be our DNA, so to speak. It is in fact a question of cosmic influence to which the Earth, along with everything it is subjected, a phase in the gestation of the planetary particle of our solar system. Planetary particle of our solar system is completed. Quote, a mutation of the spirit, unquote. A new period must begin, and this is heralded by seismic movement, climatic changes, and finally, above all, by the spirit that animates man. But where did the spirit that animates man come from in the first place? So, leaving this book behind, jumping to another Schwaller de Lubix, which, by the way, again, I don't know if I mentioned this, hate his name, quit it. Like, fuck Lubix, bitch. All right.
It's crazy that these concepts about energy, especially that one that really strikes me as the subatomic or whatever he used exactly, but maybe the atom is not affected by gravity. It is merely electromagnetism that drives it. It's
right.
That really is striking. It amazes me that he came up with this by studying Egypt.
Which not only studying Egypt, but he studied his own shit about birds, which
Wow. Fascinating.
Oski, but that ties into Schwaller quite a bit. So all that shit I just read leads me into, so here in St. Louis we have a museum called the St. Louis Relics Museum. I think it's called the museum or whatever. But we went and we noticed that all the headdresses of the Egyptian motherfuckers are by the way, Nick, you can get rid of this image, I think. I don't have an image for the next part, but there's something really weird about the headdresses, and they tie into what Schwaller brings forth here. And sorry, Nick, I didn't send you an image of this, but you see how there's 3 fucking things right there?
Yeah.
So there's a Holy Trinity in every religion. Christianity has the Holy Trinity. Hinduism has the Trimurti, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And they all represent the same thing. As I've always said, the names have changed, but the story stays the same. Did you know that the Egyptian pantheon has a Holy Trinity as well? I didn't know this until literally a week ago, again, diving into all this Stork shit. But they describe with this Trinity, I'm boring Julia at this point, but how the soul enters the body, and it's through the Trinity. It's fucking crazy. These 3 symbols in succession, the Uas, the Ankh, and the Jed, are a gesture of influx, which can well be seen as a celestial netter. That's what we are, a carbon copy of the celestial netter. this gets weird. The side posts of the temple at the great entrance of the doors, they show all three every time. Generally read, prosperity for the Uwas, that's number one, was life for the Ankh, that's number two, and stability for the Jed, that's us, carbon, is number three. The Jed is carbon. It looks like a spine, doesn't it? So it's a descent of a god into human form. So there are three principles, not yet manifest into human form. The Uwas, commonly called the key of the Nile, is represented in the Tutankhamun panoply of a cane and scepter, which is that right there. This is going somewhere, I promise. It's a branch of a tree, symbolically. It pertains to a living branch conducting the vivifying sap, but the sap only ascends without again descending, as it must do in order to take on the body beneath the bark. Think about our Kundalini energy, right? That goes down the spine, but we can't send it back up yet. We need that heat below from semen retention or whatever it is to bring it back up into our pituitary gland to die for 3 days and yada yada. The die for 3 days thing is not Egyptian. It's Egyptian too, but the second symbol of this trinity is the Ankh, giving life to the king either through the neck or with breath through the nose. This Ankh is presented as a loop crossed by a horizontal bar, but the two elements are naturally knotted. Think of a triangle. You can't have a shape yet. There's only two. We're not in 3D yet. The triangle is the first shape. This crux annata, as the Ankh is called, is thus not really a cross, but a symbol of the intention to knot together two elements without having truly done so. So there's a shape in the ether that mathematically exists, but it has not yet come into form into our mineral world that the Sophia gave birth to. So this is what happens in this Egyptian trinity. Presenting an intangible appearance, which the ancient sages called the odor of the gods, it is said that the soul ties to the body, to the spirit, and the soul. Although invisible but not tangible, it is the eye of Horus, pineal gland, 7 weeks. Thus, the knot of the Ankh, indicated but not executed, is that which gives life to the spirit of the Uwas, the first one, when linked to the third symbol, the Jed. The Ankh is not life, but it is the Ankh that gives life to that two principles, spirit and body, and they exist. The three symbols is the image itself, an explanation of these three principles and not yet the thing, quote unquote. Hence the Jed, or column of Osiris, the principle of stability bearing the four elements which make the formal existence. But the Jed is not yet the Ka or the Ba. The Jed will be Ka as soon as there is corporeality. Through the distinction of spirit, of soul, and of body, which is a direct quote from the actual pillars, which makes their intersection possible. The Jed next becomes the actual Ka. Remember the Ba and the Ka from earlier. The fixed support giving corporeal, I'm going to say that word every fucking time wrong, corporeal form to spirit and to soul or specific tincture. And then the last bit here, the Osirian column, that's the Jed, as a fixed support, here becomes the sheath, like a plasma sheath, containing the Ankh and the Oas. It is no longer the image of the Trinity born it's born by the woven basket, DNA, but the reunion of spirit, soul, and body within a new oneness, and is indicated by the Jed as incarnated unity capable of going toward resurrection. So it can go toward resurrection, but it can also go toward excarnation as well, which is not mentioned in the book, but is mentioned in the coffer text from outside of this book that I read from another fucking thing. But there's a Holy Trinity. This is what is crazy. The Holy Trinity in Christian mythology is symbolic. The Holy Trinity in Hindu mythology is symbolic. The Holy Trinity in Egyptian mythology is quite literally plasma sheaths in a lab and displayed as such, as if they had a laboratory of their own. And damn it, dude, I wouldn't doubt it if they did, because look at that shit. It's the plasma, the electricity, and the mind behind it, just like we have in cymatics. The plate, the sand, and the tone that brings a shape to the sand. Fuck.
I think they were doing all kinds of stuff with
Yeah.
genetics, chimera beings,
Altering DNA, I think. Too.
altering DNA. I think someone in the chat just said your blood has plasma. It's all connected. And then they said, P.S. do not sell your plasma, which is also correct, because fuck that. I don't know if anybody has ever done that, but the $50 ain't worth it.
No.
Or whatever they give you.
Right.
But yeah, I think that the same way we don't know how they built this stuff, we don't know, we don't have an iota of a clue what they were into, like
Right.
how advanced they were, what they were working on. Like, we aren't even there today. We are not even as advanced as they were today.
We're like barely there today, because like whenever we look at Egyptian headdresses, we notice that it looks like plasma in a lab. And anyone here who watches Thunderbolts Project will see what plasma does when entering our earthly atmosphere, which is the womb, suggestively, that we're talking about here. It looks like these headdresses, quite literally. Here we go. So this is the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And this is not a rendition. This is the literal Egyptian Book of the Dead. And if you look at these headdresses, each one quite literally represents a different formation of pinched plasmas in a laboratory. So we have the Holy Trinity that is no longer it's no longer symbolic, it's literal. Egyptian hieroglyphs might, I'm gonna sound fucking crazy, dude, they might be fucking literal, and this is anatomy.
I've always said that.
Yeah.
I've always said that. And I also think that they knew something that we don't understand, which is how to combine science and spirituality.
Right.
Because it's the same shit. Right. And what has happened is there's this big schism where it's like, well, you either believe in the science or you believe in spirituality, when it's the same fucking shit.
Yes.
Literally.
That's the main point of this whole thing, is like these are scientific equations. That's why they took so much time to make them. This is not.
But they knew how to put the spirit in them.
Right. See, that's what makes Egypt special, I think, is it's both literal and allegory, which we're missing out on today.
That's
It
a
was,
really dope breakdown. Oh, Nick, what were you gonna say? Something?
just real quick. There was headdresses that I had covered in the eyeball series that even looked like cones and rods in the back of our eyeballs.
Right.
Some Egyptian I saw. I was like, what the fuck? What's the odds of that?
Right.
I mean, it's out there, but the headdresses really looked a lot like the same shit.
Well, it happens within, but it also happens on a celestial scale as well with these plasma sheaths. And I mean, what are the chances of that? Egypt, they claimed that they were the center, the green of the. I mean, it's worth mentioning that that green is the center of the color spectrum. And the heart chakra is green. Like it's the center. We are in the center, and we get to choose which way this thing goes, which really comes down to the main wager of what we're doing here. We get to collectively choose which way that we go, and that's alchemy. And that's what is both difficult and simple at the same time, you know?
Really dope breakdown of the Trinity there with the Was and the Djed and the Ankh. And I wanted to say too, as far as like building energy within the Eastern arts, talk about the Trinity of the high, middle, and low Dantian or center points. And also of course we don't get this from the old teachings, but the implications of chi is essentially the building up of our mitochondria to be more active and stable.
Right.
And there's a really powerful Djed, more than likely it looks exactly like a Djed in the Pyramid of Giza. It has a design and between the king's and queen's chambers where it's really unnecessary and doesn't look engineering sound, but once you know about the Djed, you'll see it in the Great Pyramid. So it's to the point of the Egyptians being so excellent at bringing science and spirituality together, and even somehow expressing numerous things within the same structure, right? Like different levels of interpretation and presentation in the same series of hieroglyphs. Profound.
Yeah, it seems like there's a trinity in everything. It seems to always be there's a left and a right and a center. There's a north and a south, and there's a center. And I don't know if my fucking thing is delayed here. Nick pulled this up, right? Am I in the future or in the past? Like, what the fuck?
I just zapped that to him right before I guess you pulled it up, maybe, I guess.
I don't see it on my chat, but I see it. Oh, damn. Okay, so my chat's behind. Okay. But yeah, that's that trinity right there. Is like there's always polarity, ones and zeros, plus and minuses, like one way or another.
I do have a question for you since we're talking about all this, but I did want to add something that might not be related, but when you're pregnant, you start figuring out all kinds of stuff about how to make yourself feel better and whatever. And I started getting kind of into like the Chinese medicine, and I was really trying to go into labor, and I went to an acupuncturist.
Yeah.
And she literally jabbed me with a bunch of needles, and I went into labor like a day later.
Oh, damn.
But yeah, they talk about how your body is connected with the spirit and your chi, if you will, and how when you give birth, there's this coldness inside your body, and the wound inside where you've literally given birth and your uterus is still huge and it's empty and it creates like a void within you and it's cold. So in order to heal yourself, you eat your placenta and it warms your body and it balances the cold and the heat, and it returns you to a neutral zone.
Yeah.
And people just discard their placenta, they throw it away, or the
Right.
hospital takes it and sells it on like the black market or something like
Right.
that.
Oh
But
fuck.
it's just
Yeah.
we've gotten so far away from understanding science and spirituality and how those two things work together, that it's like everything is just modern medicine, quote unquote, that ends up killing you
There-
eventually. But I just had a quick question for you about simulation theory. Like, how could this be integrated? How could that matrixy weird zeros and ones, like, how can that be integrated into this, you think? Because a lot of people subscribe to that. Like, this is
right.
all a simulation.
Right. Well, okay. So, okay. So first of all, when I started laughing there, I was laughing at Nick for coughing after he took a bong rip. So it wasn't in your direction.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I
He
didn't think
muted
so.
his mic and he took a bong rip and he started coughing, and that's hilarious to me. All right. Uh, the simulation theory thing, dude. Okay, so to run it backwards, I think that simulation theory, quote unquote, is a modern rendition of what the ancients were talking about in the first place. It's not literally a computer, but it's also not literally atoms. So, like, modern science will have us believe it's either atoms or it's a simulation. You get both, which is very, very silly. There's always a middle ground. There's always a middle ground. But that means that if you were to use the video game analogy, we can level up or we can level down. And that's kind of the idea here. I think, and just as it's been displayed in the Ankh, the Jed, the fucking whip and the staff of the Pharaoh to keep your because look at the whip and the staff of the Pharaoh, right? The whip is to keep your mind subjugated. You own it, like 21 Pilots says. You're my mind is tied to a tree, and you must obey me. I forgot the exact line, but 21 Pilots is fucking amazing. And the shepherd hooks on the Pharaoh is also to keep your thoughts kind of shepherded in. And whenever you do that, you are now qualified to make more people. And when you make more people, you teach them those things, and then that human condition continues up and forward. And up and forward is alchemy. That's what alchemy is. There is no other definition of alchemy. People can say it's lead into gold. People can say it's your spirit into your soul, or vice versa. People can say it's this into that. All of those things point to one direction, up and forward. It's always lesser into more. And that's the idea. We make
But don't you
babies.
think, like, when people say like simulation theory, like what goes through my mind is like the opening scene of The Matrix, where it's all like 1990s graphics of like weird green zeros and
Right.
ones. And like, for me, it just feels so uh I don't know, like when you have a
Wrong.
baby and you look at them and you look at their face, you realize what a spiritual, magical, mysterious, mystical place we're living in.
Right.
And when I think of simulation theory, I can't get past that it's like somebody's just plugged us into a computer game somewhere and they're just like playing us and like living out our lives for us or something. And
Well,
I don't know, it just seems nasty to me to
it
think that we're
does.
just in a simulation, like a
But
video game or something.
right. But the person behind Sonic the Hedgehog is invested in his success. So they want him to do as well as he can. I think that we're meant to pass that down, of course, but to become Mario or Luigi or whatever, you have to like give up your own self gratitude to pass that torch onto another person who will succeed you. Not only succeed you, but like to surpass you. And that's the point of it all. Is have you ever noticed death metal vocalists since the 90s get fucking crazier, or figure skaters get dude nonsensically bonkers compared to what their predecessors did? And then people will say, I couldn't do it, but then I saw that it was possible and now I can do it. This is the morphic resonance. This is what Rupert Sheldrake is talking about. The reason we have babies, this is not what Rupert Sheldrake thought that was, but what I'm saying is with Rupert Sheldrake's morphic resonance, meaning that rats can solve puzzles on the other side of the world easier if we do the puzzle here first, which is fucking crazy, but a fact, means that the entire purpose of our existence is to do as good as we can to see if our predecessors can do it too, and they will, and they'll do it better. And when they do it better, we're gonna be like, holy fuck, have you seen Lorna Shore compared to Cannibal Corpse? Like, damn, like they can not only do it better, but they have upgraded the entire process. So that's, I think, that's it. We're not meant to complete anything. We are meant to give birth to those who will carry it on better and higher than we once were. Up and forward, always up and forward. We're going to fuck up. They're going to fuck up. We're going to make birth to people who fucked up. Our parents fucked up. But we're curious, can we fuck it up too? That's the magic of it. Can we create something that's never been done before? If no one's, if I know Nick does, but from Chris Barnes and Cannibal Corpse in the 1990s, who had to write in his album, no vocal effects were used on this album, and he sounded like an idiot today. Like fucking, you know, to Lorna Shore or Cattle Decapitation today, who sound like literal fucking monsters with effects from Hollywood in the movies used. Like they did what was impossible and then upgraded into what is not considered possible, and then passed the buck to the next generation to do something that was utterly impossible. Moving into today would be fuck. I don't know who the newest whatever is, but there's some new death metal bands that fit the bill. But that's the idea, is that we are not meant to complete anything before we die. We are meant to give as much as possible to the next guy as we pass the torch before we die. Our meaning of life is not to do fucking good. It's for them to do fucking good, and then them to pass it on to do what's good. The whole universe gets better and sharper, better and sharper, better and sharper. That's alchemy. So,
but do you think it's like a circle though? So like you start at caveman, you know, like scratching their beehole with an acorn, and then you get to like Starbucks workers, and then you get to like,
that
when does it
downgraded
circle
from
back
step
around?
1 to 2 there, you went down one notch, but okay.
But it's like okay, you get from drawing on cave walls to Egypt, which was way more advanced than we are now, and then somehow it went back down to like 0, and then now we
Right.
have to like build our way. It's like a circle, like we're getting to the top of some point,
Right.
like back to Egyptian times, and then we're gonna have like some cataclysmic event happen, and then we're gonna go back down to zero and be cavemen scratching our beeholes with an acorn, and then we're gonna like we have to keep doing this weird circle of like gradual. You know what I'm saying?
You mentioned the Kali Yuga earlier, and the yugas operate very much like that. In I think golden, or going to golden, but golden, bronze, silver. There's 4 yugas. Um, we are in the most difficult one, right?
We
And
are.
they say that meditation in the Kali Yuga, which is the angry goddess Yuga, is worth more than in other time periods. So it's in fact very difficult to go into the light and so forth in the Kali Yugas. That it is said.
That's a damn fact. And if we can like remember our divine certitude while in this Kali Yuga, the physical flesh, apparently that's the whole idea. And that's how we make it. And now I don't know why it resets, but damn, it does. It seems, I mean, you
It
can tell.
has to, right?
Right.
I
If
think
you look back in the past at these megalithic structures, it had to have reset at some
Right.
point. Because, and I think there may have been another one when you see like what they call the mud flood era with these cathedrals and these like, oh, they just built it for like, it's a church. Okay.
I've been
Yeah.
struggling with
It's just a
Tartaria
church.
ever since, dude. I want to do a whole episode on Tartaria, but every time I dive into it, I find a fucking roadblock. Like, but I'm going to eventually. But they say it's a 6,000 year cycle, which the Great Flood would be 12,000 years ago. You know, the Younger Dryas, and then there'd be a miniature one 6,000 years ago, which we consider the biblical flood. And that, oh, I mean, that opens up some doors, but damn, like every time. So I went through St. Louis and I saw these cathedrals, and I looked into it, dude. The companies that build the cathedrals right down the street from me in St. Louis, they never existed. That's a fact.
There's never any pictures either. It's always like a drawing of them building there's one in like, I want to say it's Mexico or Spain or something like that. And they're like, well, look, we're renovating it and they've got like scaffoldings and we're fixing. You're not doing shit up there. Okay. That place has existed for probably 1,000 years. And you're just like, you know.
There's no ground
among all
throwing
the
some repairs up.
Among all the interesting things about Tartaria, there's one that strikes me that kind of insinuates that there's a lot going on. There is a diplomatic cable of the United States diplomat for Russia during the Cold War or some period close to that, 50s or 60s, I believe. It might have been earlier than that, but I believe that time period. And it says essentially, you know, how these cables are just very factual and simple, and they dictate something that happened. And it said Russia has stopped teaching about Tartaria, so it just kind of like is a very strange, and suggests that it's a matter of importance that they're even mentioning it, because if they stopped teaching about something about the Tartars or something about that, it wouldn't be mentioned. It seems kind of to suggest that it's a lot going on.
That's my issue with Tartaria, is like for every piece of fucking crazy evidence that can't be explained, there's another piece of evidence that knocks it down. And I'm trying to find the center point of it, because there is a lot of things that can't be explained, and they outweigh the shit that can be explained. And I'm just waiting for that moment of pivot for me.
I think it might be suggestive of communities that were just less oligarchical, less controlled by the few, and that the powers that be, whether they're Russian, Soviet, or American, or wherever, they don't like that idea being proliferated, right? That this was a global community that wasn't hostile and wasn't oligarchical. I could see that they would want to hide that.
But I guess that would also open the door to like the weird World's Fair stuff and the crystal palaces that they built overnight, and like, where are they getting this stuff from? Why are the doors so big? Why are there trains with infants on them that are like, what is all of this? And like, when did it reset? Because fuck.
Dude, the trains with the infants and the fucking plaster buildings drives me nuts. Why were they shipping babies over train tracks, and why were they building fucking buildings to tear down out of plaster? So and by the way, where did 20,000 infants come from? Dude,
that's because let's just say that they were real infants and that this really happened. They have had the technology to grow babies in some type of way for a long time. There's no way they got 20,000 babies that came out of 20,000 human beings, mothers, to get on this train to ship them across to Chicago.
Dude.
For like, where, like, they have a freaking baby farm somewhere, like a Cabbage Patch Kid farm, and they're literally growing babies, and they would ship. That's my opinion, though. Obviously.
Well, it's not just your opinion, but I mean, read Carl Jung around the end of his life. Like, there was something fucking weird going on. He didn't know what it was either. And it almost seems like, and I'm going to sound crazy here, it almost seems like World War II was meant to erase history. And then
it was a big distraction is what it was.
Right.
In my opinion.
Right. Do you know how many Iraqi artifacts, that is Anunnaki bullshit? By the way, just I'm gonna say this, but I don't agree with Zechariah Sitchin. I don't. Just to make clear, Zechariah Sitchin, I do not. But there was something important about Sumeria. The American government hired the Taliban to destroy Iraqi artifacts, including Anunnaki ones, and that's a damn fact. There was no money involved. There's nothing to gain. Just destroy them, destroy it, and that was not World War II. That's today. That's 9/11 response shit. It seems like the winners write the history, and sometimes they're sloppy, and sometimes they play catch up, and they always expected to be sloppy. But now we have the internet, and now we have Nick, and now we have motherfuckers tied together, and we're putting the pieces together, and now it's scary. And I mean, I shouldn't go too far, but like, damn, you know.
If there weren't podcasts like this, I feel like I would actually be like needing to be in a straitjacket or like doing this, looking at the wall, like, you know what I mean? Because the thoughts that run through my head on a daily basis should end me up like, you know, padded room style, like, where were the pyramids built? Where,
dude,
like,
yeah,
all of it. It's just like, but that's why I think there legitimately are like NPC people. You know, when you're at Walmart, just look around you.
Oh yeah.
Go to Target, take a look. Okay. Sometimes you check out and you're like, was there even an interview with this person? Like, how did they get here? Like, they're just like weird, like just floating through. And if you work a 9 to 5 job, which I have in the past, like you have the same conversations with people every morning, like, oh, the coffee's cold again. Duh. And it's just like the same crap, like repeated. And it's just like, what are we living in?
Boring and rituals.
What is it? Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Nick. It's just like you see little like fractals of like, what is this really? You know? And that's why I love podcasting, is because it's like an outlet, it's like a therapy session, and connecting with people who,
Dude.
like I said, go to fucking McDonald's on a
Right.
Tuesday night and just look and see. That's what we're dealing with.
You're 100% correct. Like that's what so that is what Nick has become for me, because like I'm kind of I chumped up over here. I'm writing my script and I'm like, this is crazy. And then I run it by Nick and he's like, fuck that. Yeah, come on the show. And so, but you're right. Like if you want to see these fucking archons, these reptilians with your own eyes, go to McDonald's. That's, dude.
Just go through the drive-through.
Dude.
The person at the window is going to give you everything you need to know.
What is the mythology? What is the mythology of the reptilian archon, right? It feeds on children, McDonald's. It's a shapeshifter, McDonald's. It fucking it exists in the underworld.
It poisons you and makes you happy about it. McDonald's.
Yes.
Right? Dude. My husband.
Narcotic as heck.
My husband's mother went to a McDonald's and found a fucking human tooth, or at least somebody she knew, or her friend or somebody. They found a human tooth in the McDonald's burger. Okay. It was it was a fucking bicuspid fucking human fucking, it was a canine tooth.
Someone needs to find out
in the McDonald's, okay?
Alternatively, when I was traveling around the country, whenever I wanted to go meet someone neat, I would go to the most organic place I could find, and everyone was always super friendly and welcoming and communicative. And so like the opposite can be true for, whatever I say organic place, but just different restaurants.
Right. Like a food co-op or something like that. They're always like super nice. I have a food co-op near my house and I always love going there because they got great chia seed pudding. But fly from, like, I took 2 flights from Oregon to Oklahoma. I had to stop in Denver, get on just fly. Look at your company. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Look at the people flying across the country.
No, I shit you not. I swear to God, when I went to this event, I was on the phone with somebody and I said, if you want a good way to understand where humanity's at, is watch people get off an airplane.
Literally, I had a baby
You'll realize how fucking retarded
to my chest. Okay. Had an infant tied to my chest with a diaper bag, and I got ran over by 2 guys in a cowboy hat and cowboy boots. They're supposed to be Southern gentlemen, and they're running me over with an infant strapped to my chest, holding a diaper bag, trying to get off. This is the state of America. And then there's a fat bitch in some jammy pants and a fucking old lady with like 17 can't get her fucking carry-on bag out of the thing. Nobody's helping her. Like, this is the state of the country.
Dude.
When a new mom with a baby strapped to her chest and a diaper bag is helping the old lady get her fucking carry-on bag out of the thing. Like, this is pathetic. Dude. We got fat bitches in jammy pants flying on United with like, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, there's your first problem is United.
Right, in your pajamas. I don't get it.
Dude, pajamas on the airport. I think Sebastian Maniscalco has a fucking bit about that.
And these are the same ones that if you ask, they got COVID vaxxed, they've gotten all their boosters, they love Kamala, they got their blue hairs and all, wearing their jammy pants at the airport.
Yo, I saw
And
people still with the masks on. I was like, yo,
that's what I'm saying. You want to see the state of the country, go on United. Okay.
that's what
Worse,
I took.
take a
what
Spirit
I
flight
took.
somewhere. Okay.
Spirit.
Frontier.
Yo, Spirit's fucking rough. Yeah, that's
And
funny.
I literally just heard Tim Dillon talking about this on his show before I flew, and I was like, "Oh, he's so right. Like they hire retards in the baggage claim. It's like, why are people so mean at the airport? Because they hire retards." But the problem is, it's
You ever
like
been to Walmart?
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And
They
so
only
it's
hire disabled people.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is everybody so mean at the Walmart? I don't know. There's these weird fluorescent bulbs baking my brain.
Yeah.
And there's
Well, they're
just
also
like
anti-union, so
all of it. But I mean, it's just this is you get out in the world, you see what the world has to offer, and then you have all these thoughts cooking in your brain, especially with a new baby, and it just feels so good to like get it all out like in a safe space, with other people who don't wear their jammy pants to the airport.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's weird, and it's like I said, being pregnant was one of the most spiritual things that ever happened to me. And it just makes you concerned over everything. Like, what world did I bring them in? Like, what if something happened to me? What would their life be like? Like, I need to download some good theories into him. I need him to at least get old enough so I can start downloading some stuff into his brain before something happens to me.
Well, that's why I signed Nick over to be my kids' godparents.
Oh, fuck.
That way, if anything happens to me, he's got obligation to them pretty much directly. He doesn't know this yet, but there's going to be a shipment that takes place if and when the event takes place.
Two little bald-headed kids. Yeah, they're gonna. I can already see it.
Shoots me in my temple or back of the head twice, which is very popular. Very popular. My kids go straight to Nick. He'll have to breastfeed them, and it's just gonna be an ordeal that he'll have to deal with. And I know he'll do great. I can tell, because I mean, look at that beard, dude. He's almost as gray as I am. So like, he's gonna do a good job.
I think they'll do good. I think they'll be okay because we have a little community set up. We got backups. We're here for each other.
Hell yeah.
So I think it'll work out just fine. I actually probably have to get off here soon and go be a mom, but I'm with you. I think that, I mean, everything you touched on was amazing. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
This was a fun talk.
I was really surprised where you took it to, because I have said myself that I've questioned if the Egyptian pyramids were like a way of shooting your soul out. Like, I thought it might have been a device to actually like give you a magical experience.
Right.
So you kind of like went on, ended with that. I was like, oh fuck, I've thought that myself, but I have no idea how. It just seems like that it makes sense somehow to me.
I've heard the idea that if you look above the pyramid, the Great Pyramid, on the solstices, right, you would notice, I believe it said, even when there were the casing stones, that you would notice the 8 aspect of the pyramid, rather than just the 4 faces. There's actually 8. And this would only have been noticed if someone was above the pyramid on those dates. And theoretically, if they were just whacking stones with other stones, that wouldn't have been the case. So they say that's kind of pointing to the idea that souls were rising out and above it.
4 minutes during the equinox. I'm sorry. 4 minutes during the solstice. 4 minutes.
That's fascinating.
Dude, the pyramids have 8 sides for 4 minutes during the solstice. Like, that's wild. But also, it's the same 4 minutes as Kukulkan coming down the Aztec pyramids. Same 4 minutes. Shadow effect at that.
You know what's
Same-
bugged out? I'm
Right.
obsessed with 4, but the pyramid is kind of like a 4, right?
Right.
It's like a cross with a slice, and you put 2 or 3 4s together. I mean, theoretically,
Right.
just abstractly, and it's like a pyramid.
Well, if you're gonna put something on 2D Earth, like on the ground, it's got to have 4 sides, for north, south, east, west. If you're outside of the Earth realm, you got 3. You've got the Trinity, but that's Earth is where the first shape takes place. That triangle. So we have the triangle, but that triangle happens to be on Earth, which is the quad, the 4. So it's like heaven meets earth, triangle meets square. There's a heaven meets earth element to that, and there's a reverse notion of that as well, is that we might be a square here, but we can triangle into the circle above. And that seems to be the whole purpose of all these megaliths in the first place, you know.
I think
Yeah,
I think
go.
wrap it up here if you guys don't mind.
What?
I think we can wrap it up here if you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
There was one thing I did want to add real quick. You guys talking about United Airlines, just fun fact, is something I noticed this last time flying, Julia. They do not have Section 33 on their airplanes.
No
What?
shit.
What?
Yeah. Because every time,
Row 33?
yeah, there's no row 33.
Oh, come on.
I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go for 33. And I'm looking at the thing and I'm like, why does it go from 32 to 34? It did it on the way there. It did it on the way back. Then, and then I came home and checked it. And I think I found something where they actually, for some weird reason, to round it out to a certain number, they actually take that out. I don't know. There was a fucking weird explanation about why they took that row out.
It's not an explanation.
Yeah, I was just like, but wouldn't it just?
What?
I'm like, it would still work the same way. It was weird.
Because what? It's like a 50 row
wanted
plane.
to end on a specific number, but I was just like, well, to just put a less row seats. I don't know. It was fucking weird.
No,
Wow.
It was like some weird bullshit fuckery.
It's like that weird shit where they take story 13 out of a building.
Yeah, they do. Hotels. Yeah.
I build skyscrapers for a living, and they take out 13.
Still.
It was 12 to 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Asia, they'll
superstition.
take out the 4th floor. In some parts of Asia, they do the same with the 4th floor. They disappear.
4th? Damn.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Damn.
All right, guys. Joey, please let everybody know where they can find your amazing channel.
Well, it is Library of the Untold, and it might be in the description of this video afterwards. Maybe.
Yeah, I'll throw it in there. I don't have anybody's stuff.
Some people aren't description guys, but you know, I get it.
I used to be.
I fill out my descriptions every time I put out a video. I put a fucking description in that bitch. Like I put every little bit of what I did in the description, because your description is the algorithm. So just a heads up, your description is the algorithm. That's where it finds its people. Oh, by the way, also your uploads. The name of your upload finds the algorithm first. So just heads up. That's a YouTube thing. I don't know. But yeah, I have Library of the Untold. I do the music. The music is by Void Stares Back, and that's available online too. And that's all I got going on besides all of this fucking shit right here that is ever changing and will be enunciated to Nick every month.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. That was an awesome show, Joey. There was a lot of shit in there, and I like entertained all of it. Like I didn't think any of it was crazy, actually.
I just hope that you and your viewers will stick around for the episode when that comes out about 3 weeks from now. Hopefully, you guys will actually see.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Are you going to premiere it or anything, or is it?
Just like so, whenever we did Entities in Gray, that little game, abduction or DMT thing we did, that happened about three weeks later, I think. This episode that we talked about today will be premiering exactly the same way about 3 weeks from now.
Nice. Yeah, I'll let people. I'll make sure I tweet it out and share it or whatever when it's coming out. Thanks, my man. Julia, thank you so much for jumping on. It was great to have you as usual. So please let everybody know where they can find your amazing show.
Thanks for having me, Nick. I have Cosmic Peach podcast. If you haven't found it already, you never will. But I got a Menendez Brothers 3-part series up right now if you want to check that out. And I'm thinking about covering something that Rob Reiner or whatever just died, and they said that his son killed him. And for me, it was like hashtag Menendez Brothers. So we'll see. I'm gonna look into that a little bit. But thanks so much for having me. Super interesting stuff tonight. Always a blast.
Hold up, Julia, what's your channel called?
Cosmic Peach.
Okay.
I don't think you're on YouTube though, are you? Oh yeah, you are, right?
I took myself off YouTube because the bitches had already given me 2 strikes.
So what am I doing
so
here? Okay.
I am on Apple, Spotify,
this is what came up when I searched for Cosmic Peach.
Oh yeah.
So,
us right now.
us literally right now.
But yeah, all the videos for my show are on Patreon, but if you just want to listen, you can find it on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, whatever you podcast, whatever.
All right.
But yeah.
Fine.
Thank you very much. And Ethan Indigo, what is going on, sir?
Well, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Joey, for sharing that. That's a really fascinating group of information and ideas. I always appreciate being on the Occult Rejects. It's stimulating and soothing, right? So I appreciate you guys. Easy to find on the internet, Ethan Indigo Smith, and writing articles frequently, books infrequently, and yeah, appreciate everybody.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you all. And again, Joey, that was an awesome presentation. You always get crazier and weirder.
Oh yeah.
Julia, keep up with Ethan. You gotta get
I will.
Shit, all right? Like
I will.
Right? Ethan's got it going on. I don't know what you're doing over there, okay? With your shadow babies, all right? But I will subscribe.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, of course. And everybody in the chat, there was a lot of people there. I think a lot from you also, Joey. I appreciate that. Maybe you said something about coming on, or whatever, but there was definitely people here that were from your channel. That's what's up. Appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for the comments. There was a lot of comments in there. Sometimes I get lost in that, but yeah, there was some good shit to read. And thank you, everybody, again. And until the next one, everybody be well.